Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Yeah, it's
Jim is already extracting in the Eastern room, just so you guys know.
There we go.
Okay.
I've seen them do it. I'll point it out to you if they do it, but a lot of these guys watch from the tongue. They'll take their tongue outside their mouth looking for my fingers.
Right. I see, I've seen snakes do that when, they've been restrained also.
Yeah, I mean, they get really good at it. The Westerns are really good at it. So.
I notice all those things. It's like,
Well, it's good because, people get, they think I'm weird anyway, but I always refer to stuff as technique, like in the martial arts, because I have a lot of background in the martial arts. And the one thing I notice is that, I can watch the animal's body movements and pick certain things up, but I can't be lulled into a false sense of security that they're going to behave that way every time.
Yes.
They have, they don't read books. They don't know how they're supposed to behave. So, but I use that to some degree to give me an advantage.
60 million years of evolution, a very successful species as far as the planet is concerned. So, I don't put it past them doing anything at any time. But I too will watch their body language and can get a sense of what they might be up to, or at least I can say, oh, maybe it's a good idea to back off and rethink this for a minute. As Don has told me, never push a bad position with these guys. Definitely it's a lot of technique.
One is I never pin them when they have one coil on top of another. It gives them the force to pull out. And the other thing is I try to do it as calmly as possible. I try not to add any theatrics to it.
Well, yeah, the whole idea is not to wind the animal up at the same time and create stress for both you and the animal.
Right.
Unlike Kristen told me about somebody pounding on the cage with the black mambas in it. Well, that's maybe why he's gotten bit 2 months in a row with those.
Well, when I used to work at a reptile place down in Florida when I was a kid, we used to do shows, and we'd have to take the rattlesnakes out, blow the balloon up, and all that crap. And one of the things they did was, when it was cold out, we had a place in the show area that had a little pin or nail sticking out. You set the snake close to it, and you pop the balloon on the nail. You go, did you see that strike? And everybody saw the snake strike. The snake never moved. It's all in the mind. Everybody thinks all those vicious snakes, and snakes are defensive. I don't use the word aggression with snakes. I use defensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a giant to even these animals. We scare them.
Of course.
Oh, she might be grabbing too. Look at that, she's big and fat. Oop, don't fall. Yeah, she's just big and fat. She might be ovulating at least.
That was a gusher.
Yeah, she was in a good mood. Well, she almost put it up where we need to have it, so we have to change this. I catch some stuff that we've had on the internet as far as, she might be. She's a little red in there. The videos we have up on the YouTube and stuff. We catch a lot of people going like, oh, he's got that snake between his legs. Well, that's the reason for that. It lessens the amount of force they can pull out of between my legs with. I'm not doing it to be phallic to get one more snake in there.
Well, yeah, not only that, there's a lot of armchair extractors on the internet, who's never extracted or probably never even pinned a venomous snake, and yeah, you're doing it all wrong. Well, I've invited people over. I said, well, come on over and you show me how you do it, with this mambo or gaboon and stuff. And of course, you don't have any takers. The liability issues, would be would be unbelievable. But sometimes it's almost, you think to yourself, almost worth letting this guy or gal, very seldom a gal, they have far little testosterone to throw around like that, but
Well, I've told people before, and I'll say it again, I could teach a monkey to milk a snake. It's what happens after the mistake occurs while you're milking it. I can't teach a monkey to do.
right.
It's how you prepare yourself for the problem that's going to happen. I average, when I'm rolling, I average 600 to 1,000 extractions a week. I'm going to make a mistake. Nobody's perfect. So.
Right, and it's the experience of doing that over a number of years, which allows you in most cases to counteract whatever mistake has happened, so you don't end up on the wrong side of the.
Yeah, that's a little more than I like to have.
The snake.
Normally. Can you see that?
Well, that's an awful waste of vial.
Yeah, I know. It shatters if I go much higher than that. She wanted this one out so she could clean it. I'll see that U.S.
Yep.
It's the jerk. That's why I don't put my hand up there until I have the fangs over the receptacle, and even sometimes then they'll jerk and come off there and almost stick a fang in your hand.
Oh yeah, you don't need that sort of excitement.
Nah. Though you could probably sell it to Fatal Attraction and they'd love it. They love to watch me get mutilated.
Well, people say, if you get bit or something, are you going to put it up on YouTube?
Yeah.
Generally, I say no, unless it's a good example of making a mistake and somebody else can save their own ass sometime. They won't put themselves in the same position, but generally speaking, nah, forget it. The hobby does not need that sort of publicity.
Well, I put Mars up just because the thing that they put they put half of the footage up on Fatal Attractions, and I wanted the whole story told, not half the ass story.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the other consideration is if you want the story told, tell it yourself, and at least have an accurate story out there, because the media will just distort it and turn it to sensationalize it.
I know you didn't watch the show, but they when they did the show, I thought for sure they were going to mutilate me, and they asked the question of the one doctor, and he said nice things about me, so they couldn't edit it to make me look.
Ah, very nice.
I was taken aback by the doctor, because he's somebody I know and I really like him, and I got to send him a thank you card or payment, one or the other, because he said nice things about me, and I don't know that that's true, but. Let's see, I'm going to do these guys last because one of them had a fang issue, and I'm going to milk it into one vial just in case it drops some blood. I don't want to put blood in the vial.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start unstacking these guys. And what I'll do is I'll set them over here.
What's your typical extraction schedule, on an animal-to-animal basis?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Except for mambas. We have found with mambas and with durissus that it's better to extract from them every 3 weeks to 4 weeks. and you get the same yield as if you milk them every 2 weeks. And that's kind of what I try to point out to people about these guys that are self-immunizing. They're milking the animals constantly and then they're getting bit by them. Well, they're getting dry bites. You know, because the animals don't produce that much venom. You know, it's just a, they're, you know, it's just like the Native Americans used to do it with the Hopi Indians used to do it. They used to milk and pull the fangs out and all this other stuff out of the rattlesnakes they used in their ceremonies. Because they knew that, you know, made it less likely they were going to get hurt or envenomated.
Or, yes, at least,
Somewhat.
well,
You know, there's no 100%. I wouldn't say that I would tell people to go out and try that. It's not a, you know, because snakes, like I said before, they don't read books. They don't know how they're supposed to behave. But you know, there's always something. Always an exception to the rule.
oh, of course.
And when you're talking about snakes like this with huge yields, the rule is a big exception. You know, you're not going to, you know, you're not going to get a second chance with one of these guys if they really want to envenomate you. You know, they're going to envenomate you. They're just not. It's just going to happen. I mean, I probably get less than, even with massaging and I can feel the gland, I get less than 25% of what's in the venom gland. So, you know, when I release them, they can still, you know, put me down and hurt me badly. So, you know, it's just, there's so much mythology out there that people, you know, follow by, and the sad thing is there's still some hurt people out there that follow it, and you hear it all the time too. You know, some of it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cut and suck. You know, more power to you boys, cut and suck. You know, I'm not gonna do it. You know, it's not gonna happen to me because I know it doesn't work. I'm not gonna waste time, and I'm not gonna do extra damage by doing that. So.
Yeah, exactly. You know, once it's in, it's in.
I think this is the one that came out of a bar, biker bar. He's a little thin, but he eats really well. But they were just unmercifully teasing the crap out of me.
Oh yeah, well, you didn't even have to say that for me to know that. That's just.
But that said, I want to say a lot of the people that I know are friends of mine that are bikers treat the animals perfect. So it's the whole sense is that when people are intoxicated, they do stupid things.
Well, yeah, and the last thing to be is intoxicated around a venomous animal, or even, you know, lots of other animals. It's not a good idea to be around.
Well, I've heard, and I'm not a big cat person, but I've heard that a lot of the attacks on people by big cats have been while people were intoxicated, or not even intoxicated, just had the odor of alcohol on them. That, you know, they may set off the big cat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know that for a fact. But
Well, okay, yeah, it's conjecture, but
well, there you go. Must be the time of year to shed fangs. Everybody's shedding their fangs.
have you noticed that, you know, keeping animals in large colonies like this, if you know, everybody pretty much gets synced as far as shedding and.
Pretty much.
And
It's almost, yeah. I mean, you know, there is some truth to the thing that women menstruate if they're in the same apartment at the same time. These guys all start ovulating at the same time. They all start, you know, the males start looking for females all at the same time. Even if these were, even if I had like lustrons in here, I would have, all these would start ovulating even though it's a lustrum. You know, if the male starts moving around or the female starts ovulating and showing some interest, they all start moving around and looking for mates. So it is interesting that they do that, but here's another short hook. I like this hook. This is made by John.
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of John's hooks.
I like them. They're good. It's just that in this position, I like to be closer to the animal. The pen, when cleaning and stuff, this works great.
Yeah, I've got a number of John's hooks. He does a super job. They're constructed real well, and you know, he's got the right set of curves on the end, and.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to have. I may talk to him about building me some other stuff. You see my pen stick up here. Really good. Most of the time I use it on animals that are really wiry. and stuff. And but on small stuff, it's too big because it blocks out their head. You can't get behind the maxillary bone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Peter's going to build some drawer systems for in here, and we've got a couple 6-foot neodacios that we're going to put up over here. And we're going to cut a window so people can splotch this milk, and we're going to put a walkway down eventually. And that's the plan. We have a lot of plans, but we got to get that out of there, man. That stinks. We've got a lot of plans, just not enough, resources or people to do this stuff.
Yeah.
That's our biggest problem. Is just we don't have enough people to do everything. And I'm gonna sit her here. Watch her for me there.
Yep.
Right. Big boy or big girl or whatever. Yeah, big girl.
Yeah.
She's a little swollen too.
Yeah, she's got some booty.
Yeah, maybe that might be part of her problem too. It looks like she's a huge shit here too. So what do you do for these little carrion flies you get when they do that shit? Do you have any magical tricks?
I hang the actual, old sticky fly paper.
Okay.
That works the best. Now, these carrion flies are really evil because, especially with a younger animal, I had them chew into the belly scoots of a small rhino viper and infest the whole underside. I ended up having to euthanize the animal. So I really declare war on those suckers when I see them flying around.
We've had kind of success, I'll show you here in a minute, with stuff Peter uses, and it's had success at keeping them under control.
The sticky fly paper, you can actually see, progress because all you have to do is stick one female on there by accident, and all the males will flock to there.
Oh, here it is. This stuff, it probably needs to be changed. Some kind of fly bait.
Oh, well, it looks like it's a desiccant. And is it... interesting. Yeah, that stuff looks like it works really well.
Yeah, it keeps them under control. And, we had our big outbreak happened after the flood. We got all that mud around here. And it just was like, we had carrion flies, mosquitoes. It was just like horrible because we had so much mud. Let me check that one. So they're talking to me. I can get another one in there. Kristen gets mad at me if I overflow them because then she has to pipe them out before she freezes them. Oh, poor Kristen. She puts up with a lot of crap for me.
Oh yeah, but you guys, really, really work well together. So
yeah, she's the brains and I'm the brawn. I'm definitely not very smart. So. Well, that did it.
you find the crotalids have a tendency to learn your program, or is it more of a, okay, yeah, the mambas work around me and learn what I'm doing?
I'll tell you, the elapids are much more intelligent. The cobras figure out ways. I mean, I have cobras that'll kip up. They'll go down and they'll kip up when you're trying to pound them.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think they do. And some of the spitters, when I was doing simonensis all the time, they learned to, when you went to put them up against here, they'd spray and then bite.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yep, and I had some of the nigricolous. You were talking about nigricolous. I picked one up one time and it hit the roof. I felt something dripping on the top of my head. It was the venom dripping off the roof, and it still gave like a half a gram when it when it did. So
Those guys are fire hoses.
oh yeah. This is one Kristen calls barfly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that they were sort of torturing the poor guy.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate that any snake gets, teased and abused. But you may have to use that scent stick on you because you're going to whop around. Kristen says different techniques for different snakes.
Oh man! Oh, he was seriously intent on biting.
Yeah, I gotta change that membrane. He just destroyed it with one little flip flop.
Oh man!
Yeah. Well, he's got psychological
Issues. Yes, I can understand why. Well, it's a good thing you're not wearing a leather jacket and chains.
Oh, okay, guys. I want to get rid of all these Miyadeshis. The one thing I found with the drawer system is, or even just those cages, I can do a lot more animals faster if I don't have to lift off, put up, stuff like that. Just makes my job harder.
Oh yeah, and actually I find, getting animals in and out of tubs and stuff far more dangerous than in and out of cages.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'd rather have some cages. And what do you use?
Well, I use a combination of cages, mostly, Vision 221s, which are quite good, but, of course, like every other thing on the planet, there's advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
I don't like the upper lip because animals can hide there, and also, when I mount a heat panel, there isn't a whole lot of space in there, and actually my Papuan taipan got herself stuck up there between the lip and the heat panel, and I actually had to extract her, which was quite dangerous and nerve-wracking, because even on good days, she's a very twitchy snake, and when she's stuck and panicking, that makes it even worse. I also use cages called precision cages, but I don't think the guy's in business anymore. And I also use some of the bar cages for the arboreals. Those are very nice. I'll also use them for terrestrials when they're on the small side. Mm-hmm. Since black mambas and stuff like the climbing trees and stuff, I have a couple of mambas in those, and they do quite well. And the way the door swings open, actually with a bad feeding response, your hand is behind the door and protected. So they can shoot out and you're in the clear. So that's a good thing. But these seem like they're quite good. Not only from the standpoint is the door flips down, but you've got dividers.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted on those was that, for separating them for feeding and for, it's easy to introduce them when we're breeding them. And with the interns, we can close one off, lock this thing, clean the empty side so they're cleaning cages.
Right.
And that way, if we talk about liability, we don't have a liability issue.
Right, and besides, it's always good to work, safely like that. Even if it's you or Kristen are cleaning the cage.
Well, yeah, I like to minimize any contact with the animals. We're already stressing the crap out of them by milking them. If we can lessen the stress a little bit by not handling them any more than we have to, that's great.
Ooh, big guy.
You want me to turn this? Can you get the drips?
Well, yeah, I can get the drips, but you know, if you want to, if it's okay, you want to turn it 90 degrees, I can shoot a couple of those side shots.